all comes in the heart.
I haven't heard one of the
You didn't say you wanted to be here. Maybe that was up top.
I'll move my car for him. I will. He wasn't talking about it. He doesn't like to walk that way. There's nothing right there.
Yeah, it's a parking place. Plenty of it. I try not to do this stuff here.
I can't park my car because it takes up so much space.
Big old lane, you can move it.
There's a bus here to get you or something.
Here it is. She's.
Ready to go, should we go ahead and get started this evening?
Yes, I will make a motion with Mia Gray absent to appoint trustee Dave Kinsey as acting chair for this meeting.
I'll second.
Clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Clayton?
Yes.
Kinsey?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Morse?
Yes.
And Stoneman?
Yes.
Shall I make that motion second? Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk Shad, you have the roll?
Trustee Clayton?
Present.
Kinsey?
Present.
Cotton?
Present.
And Morse? Stoneman?
First item on the agenda is public comment. Anybody care to address the board this evening? Anyone? Bob, come on. Can we make sure our microphones are working?
Bonnie Boyd, citizen of the village of Chatham. First of all, I'd like to maybe see if someday during one of these meetings, because after our meeting last night, which every single one of you guys know about, I'm sure, someday I'd like to take all of you guys, put you in this front row seat, when we come up here, so the citizens can get their answers. And then you guys can beat us up like you think we beat you up sometimes, that's fine. But the biggest thing I'd like to discuss tonight, because all of you guys did at the meeting last night, I won't rehash that, is this wonderful thing you guys sent out. Awful coincidental that this came out about the time we were having the water quality meeting, you know? There's several questions here, and several of these questions were brought up by citizens that are not regularly here on a regular basis. You guys are leaving this awful assuming, and I know it's public comment, but if you guys are going to send this out, at the same time we're having a quality meeting and giving facts, and if any of you guys don't think those were facts given out last night, I want to know, because then I'm going to reenact and tell you where those facts came from that were given to the public last night. But you guys are sitting here saying that all of a sudden you've come up with unforeseen issues. What are those unforeseen issues? Are we supposed to accept this? What are the unforeseen issues? What are the possible solutions for these unforeseen issues? You got a lot of information on here. The biggest question I got is who came up with this information? Can you be honest enough to say that it was the citizens that did your guys' work? And all of a sudden you guys want to take credit by sending something like this out? That's unfair. You guys are starting to open the door, you're starting to speak a little bit by sending out something like this. I don't understand either, it just says September 2016. Who actually drew this up? Attorney? You didn't?
No.
Village manager? Who typed this up? We have the right to know, so that we can question that person, don't we? Oh, right, public comment. It's a simple question. Who drew up this statement? What are the unforeseen issues? What are the possible solutions to these unforeseen issues? Last night, your citizens, I'm going to say it to you because you know the answer to this. Your citizens got a lot of facts last night. I'm sure you watched it. You're an intelligent man, you watch at least part of it, or else you got a lot of emails in regards to it. Setting this out, great, but leaving it as vague as this, just got yourself guys in a ringer again. If you're not willing to stand here and tell me who drew this up, that's a big issue, guys. Where's the trust? You try to build it by sending this piece of crap out and not giving credit where credit is due, but you won't stand here and tell me who typed it up, who drew it up. Attorney, Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
You had no idea about this?
I did, but I did not draft that document.
You did not draft it. Do you know who did?
I think it's probably more, I mean, I don't think it's a big secret. The TMT, the city's engineers are the ones that.
Drew it up. And where did they get all this information? Their own research?
That I wasn't involved in, so.
Their own research or the research of the water quality group? That have been hounding you guys for how many years? This is ridiculous, you guys. It's really ridiculous. But the one thing I can be very proud of, standing here, is the citizens that I have gone out and personally met. I personally went out and met these citizens. There's a lot of people out there. Why they're coming forward, I don't know. Maybe they don't have the time. You know, everybody has families, you got grandkids, you got kids that are in sports. That's why they moved to the village of Chatham for things like that. So, last night's meeting was great. You guys were all there, you saw it. They wanted information. Do your job and start giving them the information. And part of it starting out with taking responsibility for this. Now, the only bad thing I'm going to say right now, because Mr. Mao walked in, I felt there was a conversation that happened last night after the meeting, and one of your citizens that had lost a lot of hair, had the most beautiful hair, went up to Mr. Mao, she asked me to come up and witness it. She said, remember this picture of me? She shook on the phone. He said, yep, I remember that. So she bent over in front of Trustee Mao, bent over, showed him all her bald spots. And I said, wow, Matt, water good. You know what he said to me? And this is a quote, call me a liar or him. I don't care. Because there's no reason for me doing everything I'm doing for this village to lie. He looked at me and said, the next person that says that is going to be sorry they did it. How would you take that? That's a trustee.
Anyone else care to address the board?
Carry what?
Address the board.
Oh, yeah, it's not on the water. You're welcome.
Can you make up your new passwords?
Okay, let's start with question. Your name, please? Jessica Vincent. Say again? Jessica Vincent. What's the rule for the village, like in the village about like yucky cars, I guess? Like, that don't move, or like, is there like a rule?
Stranded car?
I don't know. Well, like, what is the rule for like a car that like, nobody drives it, like it just sits there, there's no tags on it, like it just is there? Is that like in the thing?
A nuisance violation. Report it to the village hall.
Is it on the street?
No, it's not on the street.
There's different rules for on the street and off the street.
Okay.
Is the thing parked in the driveway?
No, it's in a parking lot.
Public parking.
I guess. Is that like a rule? Like, is there like a rule for it?
An ordinance.
An ordinance, is there an ordinance against?
Abandoned cars?
Like, what is it, when is it legal? Anybody?
Is that better? Pat, that'd be better addressed with Ryan or the police.
Or the police department?
Yeah.
Because, your guys' Blue Village Chatham cars been sitting out there for like, I don't know, and there's no tags on it, there's no nothing, and it doesn't move, and it just sits there, and it's like rusting to just pieces. So like, our village of Chatham, like, they have their own rules and they don't apply like they do to us. Because I'm pretty sure, like, at this point, if it had been sitting like in front of my house for 3 months, that I would have been knocking on my door probably within a week.
Is that a public parking spot over there?
That, because anybody can park there, there's nothing that says private parking, there's, I mean, nothing. So, because it's like a lot of people park there, and even people come out of town, in front of there to go on bike path, and that's what they're seeing, is just like this busted, broken down car sitting there for, like, the license plates are so faded, you can't really even make them out from the street. And there's no registration sticker on it.
Yeah, clearly we get that removed.
I wasn't gonna speak, but I kind of thought, I was actually gonna just ask Shane and CMT to take a look at the operating reports from South Sangamon, the last one from August. Actually, we looked at just a couple, and the couple that we pulled up, it just happens to be last month and then a few months before. The concentrations on their contaminants for raw water and finished water, some of the data in their spreadsheet doesn't match. They list the minimum and the maximum out of the month, but it doesn't jive with what's actually listed for each day. So, somebody's gonna have to go through and look at all these monthly reports and figure out if it's valid data or not. But it shouldn't be me. It should be you guys. So here,
That's a good name.
Joe, we caught that at your meeting last night, he sent a message around.
yeah, because we pointed it out.
Right, he got you saying that, I'm telling you.
Yeah, okay.
We heard you say it.
Good. So they're
He
gonna go through
sent
each
a
one.
message to the board, said there's an error in the spreadsheet, you've already got them to check, find that error, and make sure it goes through the quality insurance process.
What about all the ones prior? Because the other one that we happened to look at, a few months ago, I don't even know what month it was. And then there was one that Jeff Greer looked, I think it was the very first one that we currently put out. It was the same kind of deal. The data.
On the influence schedule.
Yeah, I think that very first one we put out, it was the finished water data. This one is the raw water data. But somebody's just gonna have to go through and look at all of it and make sure that it's valid and that they're putting out the true, values of what they're measuring.
Is Commissioner Bloom planning on presenting this or explaining this to the board? Does anybody know?
Last Tuesday when we went to the meeting, I said to him, it would behoove him to come to the meeting tonight. He was there last night, I saw him, because the other appointees never showed up. The board didn't know anything, trustees didn't know anything. They weren't getting information. And I said, I think it would be good for you to show up simply because of the fact that the citizens aren't going to think you're another minion of the mayor.
Excuse me. I spoke to Mr. Bloom last night, and he explained to me, or said to me, that he had made a very detailed report and gave it to all the trustees. He wasn't able to come tonight, but he will more than likely be at the next board meeting. He told me he sent you guys detailed reports
I think it's the report.
on everything.
I think it's the report Julie's referencing, but I think for the benefit of the community, I think it'd be nice to, one, establish that line of communication, but also for him to explain his own report to us.
So to finish this, can I give you a date to provide information back to me on how many times this data was skewed? I want a month. I want to know how many times they messed up from the time they started until this report. And I'll give you till the next board meeting to give me that information.
And who reviews it for publishing would be a good thing too, because nobody's catching this error, they're just publishing this stuff out there. If it's been 18 months that they've been doing these reports and nothing before that, who's going over these reports to actually validate their data at all? Somebody can see because you know that they're not doing it right.
Anybody know?
Right, thanks.
Are the minimum and maximum numbers on that report, is that who is given that? Like, is that where, like, the EPA gets their numbers?
Yeah.
So, there could, in theory, could be violations that they were not charged with, but should have been.
We'll get you a clarification. I believe what he stated to us is, at the bottom of that, it's an Excel formula that pulls the minimum and maximum. We'll get a clarification on that as to Jules's question, is the daily information correct? Or is it just that there was a formula error on the spreadsheet?
Thanks.
Any additional?
Something else, I have noticed a lot of chlorine smell at my house. And something else that Mr. Bloom told us last Tuesday was that Shane had requested, Jeff, what was it, 7? They were sending,
They were 0.7 and they wanted to up it to 1.0.
they wanted to up it to 1.0. Well, by doing that, I mean, every morning, there's a lot of chlorine smell. When I shower, when I just run regular water, don't run it through the filter. Does anybody know why Shane has asked it to go up?
Yeah, you want to answer that, or do you?
Our engineers recommended that we have 1.0 out at the ground storage tank, and that water sits in there sometimes for as long as a day. Then it works its way towards the above ground tank, works its way to the south end of town, works its way to New Berlin, and we don't want the chlorine levels to drop down below regulation. So they recommended that we have 1 out at the ground storage tank. We requested it, they bumped it up to that.
Well, it's very chlorine in my house. How about yours? We live on the same block, or same street, so.
So we get the chlorine and then everybody else gets the nice stuff.
Yeah, so it's, I mean, I guess that's something we're gonna have to live with, right?
Pat, do you know if CM&T is looking to possibly check the chlorine levels down the line just to see if they're getting sufficient?
We do that.
Chlorine in there, and are we still at the level we should be at? Or are we starting to fall below, or are we slightly above?
We were falling below, and that's why we asked them to bump it up.
So we're back to where we should be as far as, okay.
Trustee Fountain, so are you asking if down the line when they test it, it's okay? But what about testing it up where we're getting it?
Well, I guess what I'm asking
Is well within the drinking standards.
Okay, but that's not what I asked, is it tested?
based on what I'm asked, and Pat, correct me if your answer was incorrect, was, 1% coming out of the ground storage tank. When it gets to the last customers, we are not exceeding what should be there, but we're also not below. We're hitting it right on target, so that all along, there's no one who's getting it below.
That's the goal.
Okay. And has that
Not
not
have anybody's chlorine levels drop below what is recommended by the EPA.
Okay. And I assume that's been checked on an ongoing basis to make sure we're not all of a sudden hitting higher than what we need to be? Well,
Once it gets to us at 1, it can't go up. We don't add any more chlorine to it.
I know, but I mean, is it possible that if we're running, let's say, a 10th high at this far end, can we drop it down to, let's say, 0.9? I'm just throwing some numbers out there, so that when it gets to the final point, I realize, depending on how quickly the water flows, what the usage is, so it depends on how quickly some of that chlorine.
I don't have any experience to answer that question.
Okay.
That's something that CM&T would have to give us advice on, and their advice was to go to 1.
Okay.
Well, then they need to come to our house and smell the chlorine in our showers and our faucets without the filter and stuff like that, because it's really strong.
It's drying the kids' skin out, something fierce.
Wasn't there a possibility going to, was it chlorine? Is that what?
The plant is designed to run on chlorine or chloramine. We currently use chlorine.
Anybody else care to address the board?
I do.
Yes, Paul.
One of the things that I would like to see, and I said it last night at the public meeting, is we need to have a forensic audit to see how the money was spent. That's our money. That's our money. That's your money. I'd like to see a forensic audit done them to make sure that that money was spent legally and the way that it should have been spent. You know, I think the board owes that to us as taxpayers, to follow through with that. And I don't give a damn how much it costs. You know, find the money. There's always extra money in the budget. I mean, some of the stuff that I see going through on the warrants, you know, I just shake my head at. So cost shouldn't be an issue. But that's our money. And all the stuff that's been said and discovered that we've uncovered on the money that was spent on this plant, I want it accounted for. So that's millions of dollars, a lot more than what it should have been. And I think you as the trustees owe that to us, the taxpayers, to look into that. So I would urge you, in fact, I'm just shy of demanding that we have a forensic audit done so we can check and find out whether or not that money was spent on what it should have been spent. And if it is, fine. If not, then let the chips fall where they may. Thank you.
Anyone else? Jeff? All right, Jeff Weir. One of the things I've been watching the last couple of weeks has been the discussion about the forensic audit. On June 3rd, 2015, Mal was a big proponent of having that at that time. He definitely was saying we need to have this done. There were two people, if you watch the video, that were definitely reversed. They were talking about it. That was not a good thing. One would be Joe Chatham, and the other was David Lindsay. If you watch them, very hesitant. Joe was like, wow, we can't get this. I was saying them to do it. They probably won't agree. We're only one vote. It doesn't matter if we're only one vote. We need to push them. We get the water from them. That's something we need to do, and we need to find out why they don't want to do it. We can be demanding that they do it. Dave, you work in finance, right? CFO or something, partying, that kind of stuff, financial management, at a hotel chain? Okay, CFO, so you do financial stuff. If your hotel chain is missing $10, $20 million, is it going to be a concern to you? Are you going to be in trouble if they say, hey, today we're missing $20 million, and you just shrug your shoulders and go, I can't do anything about it? It's kind of an odd parallel to play. It's not an odd parallel. So if there's $20 million missing and you're a financial person, somebody says, hey, where's the $20 million? You say, hey, I don't know, maybe somebody just borrowed it last week. Okay, that's taxpayer money, $20 million, $30 million. That plan was supposed to cost $19 million. Okay, $50 million they're in the hole for. Nobody's concerned about that missing $30 million. Okay, if it was your money, why would you not be concerned? It's the village taxpayers' money. Why are you not demanding a forensic audit? Because I don't believe it's going to find it. Why not? How do you know that? That's the thing, is if there's that much money that's not there, if they look at it and says, hey, between what we spent and what we have, there's a deficit, there's a different amount here, maybe we should recoup that. Where does that money go to? There should be some way of us finding out where that money went. Because if it's $19 million and it's up to $40 million, there's some missing money there. Where did it go? That's what we need to find out. And I don't understand why there would be a debate on spending some money to do it. We can spend all this money for flushing a $500,000 truck. We can do all these things for parks and everything else in town. But financial mismanagement of tens of millions of dollars, I think that's something important. I don't understand why, as a financial person, you would not be the first one to say, hey, we demand this. At my work, I would be demanding, if I lost $20 million, that's my job. This is your job right here. Okay? Tens of millions of dollars is missing. That's unaccounted for. We don't know where it went. That thing was supposed to cost X, it cost Y. Okay? Way beyond what it's supposed to be. We want to know where it was. What did they spend it for? And that's what a forensic audit is. So we want to tell all of you up here, we want you guys to spend that money on that. It's important to us to find out where that money was and where it got spent on. And I don't understand what we need to do to convince you of the importance of that. That is our money that we work for. Where did it go? So the reports are definitely one thing you want to be concerned about too. If these reports are the things that are filing with the EPA on telling us that we're in standards and everything else, and they have a spreadsheet where somebody's keeping track of it, and we've already found the first one in May of 2015, or the first one where Wood Current took over, that's their first report. Before that, we had nothing. Dan Young had no reports. He had no idea what anything was happening for him. So May 2015, the first record that we have is an Excel spreadsheet that's wrong. Okay? It says the minimum value is 13.2, the maximum is 13.3 for the water temperature. It's actually 18. That's a concern. Okay?
If they're telling us, hey, you're getting the right fluoride, they have to bring a spreadsheet of fluoride, and they're saying, hey, you're getting 1, and it's really 4, 5, 6. We already know they replace so many pumps, they replace so many filters, they replace so much stuff out there. They already said their feeds for other things. What kind of feeds?
Chlorine, fluoride.
Fluoride, everything out there. Haven't had the right size pumps. So if their pumps aren't doing the right thing, if they don't have the right size spreadsheets, how can we be confident in anything that's out there? And why are we not out there? Why are we not at meetings? I have a job. I go to South Central meetings. I find it offensive that you say you have a job, you can't make it to those meetings. You know how much work I take off to go out there? Jewel and all those other people that take time off there? Okay? I think that some trustees should be out there. We shouldn't have to be out there getting this information. Okay? That is very offensive. So I expect to see you out in one of these meetings soon. I think a lot of people here want to see some trustees out there, especially ones that have not been involved. Find out, be asking questions. We need to find out what they're doing out there at that plant, why the spreadsheets are wrong, who's looking at this data, how they're validating it, why is the Department of Health getting one value, the EPA said one value, and South Central has another? Well, look at that wrong spreadsheet. There's your answer. May 2015, August 2016, all in between are probably wrong, all the same spreadsheet. That's what they're feeding to the EPA to say we're meeting standards? Somebody needs to be looking into this because it's not. Okay? Why is it a big deal about the water temperature variance? Okay? Well water has no temperature variance. It's just like a cave. You go in at 54 degrees in a cave, whether it's summer or anything else, it's the same temperature. Well water is the same. If it's truly underground, the sun and other things aren't affecting it. That well water is going to be pretty constant. Okay? Is that right? Yeah. Okay. That's good.
Can I question what you just said about the reason why you don't want, or you don't think we need a forensic audit, because you don't believe there was any wrongdoing? That's your opinion. Have you got proof to calm us all down?
Much the same, I've made it awfully clear that bring me proof the other way. There should be.
Well, you shouldn't have to do that.
But in any case, there are 6 trustees up here. At any point in time, any of the 6 has the ability to propose an ordinance, propose a resolution, to propose that. At no point has any of the 6 made an official proposal.
Beg to differ?
All right.
At the
Anyone
forum,
else would like to address the board?
I wasn't gonna speak, but at the forum before the election, every single person that was running for office, every single one of them said there was a need for a forensic audit. After the election, the question was brought up, and every single trustee agreed. They would agree to a forensic audit, including you, Mr. Himsey. Do I need to go back and find that particular YouTube? Because every one of you, I know Mr. Johnson wasn't here at the time, and Mr. Boyle was, but even Joe, even Matt, I know Nina and Mark did. I mean, if it isn't for Nina and Mark, we wouldn't even be where we are today. But that's, needless to say. I mean, they give us their time, they answer our questions, not here, or, if we see them out and about, but every single person said yes, but no one has acted on it. So, I just beg to differ that that statement was correct.
Well, no, it is correct, because not once has there been an ordinance proposed on this body, whether Mark, Nino, or anybody else for that matter. We have not voted on it. Why? As Mark has said, why?
You're running for mayor.
Excuse me, if you're running for mayor and you can't propose an ordinance, what's the problem here?
So then why haven't Mark or Nino done it?
Well, I'm asking the question now, because I don't know what my answer is. I don't honestly know that answer. Because I'm not a political person. I am here looking at all the information, trying to analyze it. Mr. Shad can tell you I've done many, many, many FOIAs because we want answers to our questions. But Do I still have all the answers? Absolutely not. Does anyone up there have all the answers? Absolutely not. But we have to work together to get those answers. And yes, we are divided. But I do feel that Mark and Nina are the two people that have tried from the very beginning to help us. And I'm sorry for that, because I feel each and every one of you should be helping us, even if we're right or wrong. If we're wrong about the forensic audit, hallelujah, praise the Lord, we were wrong, and we will accept it. We will have no problem accepting that answer. But it definitely is an answer. If we have to go through the entire village and get signatures of people who would like a forensic audit or who don't give a D about an audit, we can do that too if you guys want us to prove that people do want this forensic audit. I don't have the power for it, but you sitting up there do. And I'm not singling out any one person that needs to say that they do need to or not to. But you either do or you don't. You either have the votes to either do it or not. There's no other alternative. Because if you don't vote for it, it can't happen. And everybody knows that. So, help us out.
And I think it's being set up here by a couple trustees, if we get something narrowed down and not just a blank check, we would consider probably go with it. But nothing has been narrowed down or struck. All they want is a blank check, and I'm not about to get a blank check.
But you know what, Matt? You gave a blank check on the $500 truck because you didn't, I'm sorry, I'm not saying that. You gave a blank check, you give a blank check on all of the money that's spent in this village all of the time. And there are many, many, many times there's money spent
It should not be.
that shouldn't be.
Inappropriately.
And, and that's going to happen. No matter how good you are, no matter how you budget, no matter how you do any of this, there's always going to be something that comes up, you spend the money on, really didn't have it, but you spent it anyway. So the open-end checkbook is really not the answer either. It is, okay, we need to do this, and we need to find out what it is going to cost. I mean, there's somebody out there that can say, well, this is going to cost you $1 million. There's somebody out there that's going to say, well, no, this will cost you $5,000. You're supposed to get bids all the time. But, I mean, honestly, I think I could go through this village and I probably could come up with $50,000 to pay for a forensic audit. I honestly think I could. But that's not my place to do that. Because in my opinion, you're already spending my money with the taxes that I pay. And I've paid for over 30 years. There's people that have lived here much longer than I have. I didn't grow up here. I love the village of Chatham. I just do not like what is here.
I don't want to cut you off, I thought you were getting to the end, but...
Well, we need a forensic audit.
Yes, sir.
Yes, my name is Ronnie Rodriguez, and I'm to Chatham, probably a relatively newcomer, only being here 4 years. And quite frankly, I've read a lot about the interaction that's been going on back and forth. I think that if I was one of you, okay, in order to limit your exposure, I would be screaming for a forensic audit. Yes. To prove that everything is above board, we have crossed our T's and dotted our I's, okay? Because, like I said, if it was my name out there, okay, and everything was squeaky clean, then we go on, okay? I kind of get the feeling that you get stonewalled here, okay? And so much is perception. What do people think? Not what you're doing, what do they think you're doing, okay? And when you're doing this kind of stuff, okay, red flags and sirens and rockets are all going off, wondering what in the heck are they trying to hide? I would think you would be demanding a forensic audit to prove yourselves innocent, and I don't hear it.
Lack of action speaks volumes.
Yeah. I think the problem is, with all the research everybody, Jeff and Jewel and Darlene has done, there's so much hinky stuff that went on with Del McCoy. Now, you know, whether you recognize that, whether you're willing to admit that or not, that's your decision, but we have ours. And we have our perception. Between John Myers and Del McCoy, there was a lot of hinky stuff that went on. And I would think the reputation of this village, you would want the forensic audit. Just to show, I mean, have you read this stuff? Do you realize the hinky stuff that went on?
So I mean, I'm in favor of forensic audit, I know, endorsements.
Thank God for you two.
Can somebody
I think too, before, you know, I'd like to see what the other board members feel about it.
I don't state right now whether they would vote yes or no, if you did it. If we did $250 a month for a flushing fee, can be $250 a month for a forensic audit. Let's say right now, would you do something like that?
I will state where my position is, and it really hasn't changed, is we can do a forensic audit of what we've done for the village. We can also pass a resolution requesting our commissioner to vote to do a forensic audit on South Salem Water Commission. But the answers that I believe you guys are looking for are is looking for the audit of where is the bond money going? Why was it, you know, whatever amount it was, why was the plant $32 million?
It's 35.
35. Why was it $35 million? If you want to look at that, then that's not a forensic audit for the village of Chatham. That's a forensic audit for the South Salem
Now, the water plant was way before South Salem, we proved that.
Yes.
So don't start.
Why do you village of Chatham? No, you asked me for an answer. This is the answer.
That's not an answer.
No, it is an answer, Jeff. Jeff, it isn't.
The water plant was started South Salem though.
But either way, Joe, it's public information. We can hire someone to go through that public information.
We can, but it's not safe, but it'd be best for South Salem Water.
SWC's gonna pay for it, they're not, we know that.
We are SSWC, but the water plant was way before SSWC, so starting at that and going forward, it's not gonna get.
We did not issue the bonds.
We issued $2.5 million in debt certificates.
Okay, so we issued 2.5, so we can do a forensic audit on the 2.5. I would agree with you there, but the rest of it we can't. The rest of it won't have to be the South Salem Water.
So the wholesale water agreement says we can inspect their books, they can inspect ours. Without a FOIA.
Yeah.
We have the right to go through
We want to
everything.
exercise that right, we want those books at our next meeting, we want to have them available.
And here's what,
And our commissioner should get us that stuff.
here's something, which I hope is exciting and continues to be, is the plan of action of everything that everybody wants in the community, not just you guys, but everyone, all the way from scenario A, you know, we go back to CLFB. Scenario B, we get out of the breach. Scenario C, we are staying with what we are and we're investing money. There may be scenarios D, F, you know, we've been discussing a few of those rules and options as well, and our lawyer, and where do we want to go from here? We can look at putting the forensic audit in there, and then bringing everything at that point to, hey, let's get an RFP for that. So what we're looking at that point is maybe, let's see what the RFP is for all of these points, because if we don't get started today, this process is gonna take a year, and it's something that we've looked at and said, we've got to get started, because just sitting here and not having any answers is not doing so good right now. So we can look at that, you know, as, hey, that's another, right now we're paying cost for everything, cost for the breach, cost for, you know, what is it all going to be, and give information so you guys know, and so does everyone else in our community, and really flood that out once that information is given.
Unfortunately, it doesn't happen next week. You know, I learned that, and it is very frustrating, but I hope that we continue to do these steps. And if we don't, I'll be glad to say it's a red flag and we're not moving forward.
But your guys' silence is what's making us still come here and doubt what's going on.
That's okay. I like seeing you. With a compliment.
2 years ago, this was all brought up. 2 years ago, the trustees here knew what was going on. Through Jewel, through Jeff, through Darlene, we all knew we had crappy water 2 years ago. And nothing was done. We were talking to the wall.
And you see me up here being frustrated and being like, I want to bring, but I'm having a little bit of life right here. And I gotta go for it. So, but I promise you, close it back up, that way I'll let you know. That's why I'm here right now, I'll be more as it comes through, I promise you.
Okay.
He wants to.
Thank you. Excuse me, I've got a question. On the agreement, the wholesale water agreement, and if you knew this, Mr. Jordan, is it not said that if there's an issue, it is supposed to go to arbitration, and at any time that you guys ask, that they have to turn over their books?
Yeah.
Is it not in the agreement that if you tell them, we want to see the books, we want to do this, it's right there that says, you have to turn them over?
I don't have the agreement in front of me, so I can't cite the specific provisions, but that's my understanding. I know there's an arbitration mediation type clause in there.
Can anyone request to see their financial information?
Anybody under 40 can request to see the public.
So can you specifically make a request, or do we have to request that you make the request, or how does that work, that we make sure
If
that
you're doing it under 40, we just do it directly through them.
So
See them,
And we have.
The problem is, I'm sure there's a lot of files at Mr. Meyer's office that nobody knows about.
Yeah.
That's proof too, that's
Anyone else would like to address the board?
Fireproof ones. I've just got something really quick to say. Mr. Mao and Mr. Schottman are worried, you know, if you're worried about what's going on, and you're worried that, you know, you're gonna get into trouble or whatever, do you really want to be known as the people that close down the city of Chatham because there's no money to do anything? Because we're paying for that boondoggle out there that is never going to produce clear water. And if it does, it's never going to stick because it's in the wrong place. And nobody that was doing the work over there, the circumference of all the people that were doing the work over there, none of them were specialized in building a plant. One could do the piping and one could drill the wells and nothing was secure over there in knowing that this person knew exactly what to do with that water plant. And that's why it's $1,000 there and $4 million there, and it's all parts and parts and parts. And you need to have somebody overseeing everything that understands it, and that has not happened. So if you want to go down as being the guys that put Chatham out of business, just sit there and do nothing, because it's what's going to happen. There's a point of diminishing returns when people are sick to death of paying, and you cannot ask people, you cannot keep giving people $500 light bills and $500 water bills. It's not sustainable. You can't do it. They will either quit paying and move. The houses that are up for sale are ridiculous. And you've got to take that into consideration, because nobody here will be left to run the village, because I'm sure you're not going to hang around and take the blame by yourself. So somebody has got to get off their duff and do something here. Either get a forensic audit going or goose everybody else into doing it. But you cannot keep going, dragging it out. Oh, we'll look at it next week. We'll look at it in 3 weeks. We'll look at it in a month. This has been going on for 2 years. God, if we took that long for anything else, people would have given up long ago. People would put up hospitals in 2 years because they were necessary. And it's necessary that this village sustain itself at a certain level without bankrupting every single resident in here.
One of the gentlemen that's on the South Sangamon County Water Board, what's his name, Dan? No.
Dan Hill?
No, he's the operator, the other guy, the farmer. Craig Hall. He said he could write a book on how not to build a water plant.
Been the only one honest.
He's the only one that's been there from day one. And how many times has he said that to us?
Oh, many times.
A half a dozen times. I could write a book on how not. And then they're going to do some kind of thing to decide what kind of water rates are going to be. What's it called?
The water rate study.
Water rate study, yes. And the question was asked, well, did they do that the last time when they first started? No, they didn't do that. And then Craig spoke up and he said, well, Dylan McCord established the rate. And he said it had to be lower than what Springfield was offering. So that's why it was offered at such a low rate.
And then jack it up later. Yeah.
The back end.
Red flag.
Which we're beginning to really see now.
Now, he announced it, he said that last Tuesday night at the meeting, when we were out there. Dylan McCord set the rate. And the reason being was it had to be lower than what Springfield's was.
Because if it was at what it needed to be, nobody would go along.
I believe it was what, $5.49, Jeff, is what the rate was?
How you like these facts from your citizens, folks?
Anyone else to see?
Can I?
They'll give you.
Well, I know, but is anybody on the board afraid of what the forensic audit might have some concerns?
Absolutely, that's why we're here 18 months later asking the same questions.
Right. The only one not shaking his head is Matt. You're good? He said, is anybody worried about what they find? And you're the only one that didn't shake your head, no.
You know, I'm not sure. So that's my answer.
Does that
So you can't say with confidence that nothing would be found on a forensic audit on the village.
But I can't say anything would be.
All right, of those that haven't had a chance to comment tonight, is there anybody else who'd like to address the board? Les?
Les Morgan. This is the plaque that I came to the trustees a few weeks ago, and I found it. We've got a price. It's not going to be more than $150 to have it installed on the memorial. I'm going to pass it around. It's heavy. And I met with Meg Harmon from the Chatham Library. She'd been doing some research on Mr. Sumter, along with his great nephew who lives in Texas, and the tentative plans are to have it installed and do an unveiling on November the 6th, and hopefully at the next board meeting, I'll have a little more details and give you a little better idea of what's going on. Okay?
What does the plaque say?
It says, on the street end, Roy Sumter died in service, Battle of Argonne, November 6, 1918.
Oh, wow.
My understanding is that was installed, well, it was installed on the Caldwell School, and Mr. Sumter was the first either Chatham resident or Sangamon County resident that was killed.
I've seen that name.
So, that's the reason why we're going to go ahead and have it put on the memorial because it was prominently displayed, and we feel that it should be on the memorial.
Absolutely.
So, we'll have more information as soon as one of these. Thank you.
Motion to put the consent agenda on.
I'll make that motion.
Motion for what?
Consent agenda. We have a second.
Second.
Second. Questions about the meeting minutes for the warrants? Yeah, clerk, will you take a vote?
Trustee Clayton?
Yes.
Kimsey?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Nichols?
Yes.
Now?
Yes.
And Stover?
Yes.
All right, new business, resolution confirming the appointment of Chuck Hunt to the police pension board. Joe?
Yes, this is a resolution to confirm Chuck Hott. He is taking the place of Terry Byer. So I put that on the table. I'll make that motion.
Joe, second. Matt, second. Questions, comments regarding the motion?
Say who he is?
Yeah. Who's Chuck Hunt?
Chuck's a financial.
He's a financial guy. He's, I forgot what the firm is that he's with. AXA.
For what? What is he going to do?
It's a police pension board.
As far as investments.
Okay.
It's a police pension board. They review the pensions.
Figure it out, slowly but
They review the pension fund for the police officers.
okay.
And also the police pension fund requests who they would like to have as members. Mayor confirmed it, and then you guys vote to confirm it also.
All right, clerk, will you take a vote?
Trustee Clayton?
Yes.
Kimsey?
Yes.
Stoneman?
Yes.
Nichols?
Yes.
Now?
Yes.
And Stover?
Yes.
All right, an ordinance approving the SATS trailhead at Point in Many Springs.
Okay.
And,
Speak up.
Is this about signage? This is for signage.
Yes.
Let's get a motion first, please.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that.
Okay. Pathway.
This is Southeast Trail Community Plan. The Village of Chatham is a member of the SATS Trail Community because of our SATS transportation study, because the interurban trail runs through Chatham. So the committee decided to try to come up with standardized signs for all bikes and trails, bike paths and trails throughout Sangamon County. So we've been working on this for quite a while, and each community that has a trail going through it has to vote to accept it. We will use those signs. We're purchasing the signs through the Park District for the few that go in Chatham. And it's on the agenda for the Village of Chatham this season, so.
We talked about ordinances last time, and Clerk Shad wasn't here. Is there any way that we're never gonna have ordinance numbers again on these things that you're assigning, or is that only at the end of the year? When do you actually assign ordinance?
Well, I was thinking about, a while ago, assigning ordinance numbers prior to the meeting, but I'm not doing it because you don't always know what they're gonna approve or act on and not. So I assign the numbers as it comes up. Like, for example, I assigned 4116 to the resolution tonight for Chuck Hunt, because it was an extra resolution number. The status trailheads, things that we're discussing now, that's 1647, because that's the next available ordinance number. When I do the minutes, I go back to bar docs and I sign those numbers of those items that were approved in the minutes.
Okay. Additional question regarding for the board? Here you go, clerk, will you take the vote?
Yes. Kimsey?
Yes.
Stoneman?
Yes.
Nichols?
Yes.
Now?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Kinsey, can I speak for a minute? Can you please speak a little louder? There's a lot of people here that can hear you.
All right, next item, amending the Village of Chatham subdivision code.
This is, what this will do is, it's basically one line for when track surveys are required, it says that the land survey must show the right-of-way conveyance in a fee simple for roadway purposes in compliance with the arterial roadway network plan. So it's making it so it conforms with our arterial plans, is that correct?
Joe, is that a motion?
Yes.
I'll second.
Okay.
What that plan is if someone is developing a piece of, or wants to split a piece of property that's adjacent to the village limit, the county oversees that splitting of that parcel, and it enables us to request right-of-way from that person that's splitting that property for our roads.
For our roads, not the county's.
Not for our roads, not the county. And it matches the language of the city of Springfield's ordinance.
Additional questions, comments? Clerk, take the vote.
Trustee Clayton?
Yes.
Ruby?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Van Horst? Miles?
Yes.
Stover? Yes.
All right, Cardinal Ridge, first subdivision. Terry?
I'll make a motion on the Cardinal Ridge.
I'll second.
This is an ordinance approving the final plat of the Cardinal Ridge First Edition subdivision. Developers aren't here. If there's any additional questions, it's been through the planning commission, presented at our last committee meeting. Anything additional I'm missing?
The only thing that the planning commission had comments on was the landscaping plan for the proposed stormwater retention facility. The developer went back in front of the planning commission, and they accepted that, and they were happy with that. The developer's engineer has worked with our engineer and set a letter of credit of $755,000 for first class improvements.
Questions, comments regarding the ordinance? Clerk, take the vote.
Trustee Clayton?
Yes.
Kinsey?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Van Horst?
Yes.
Miles?
Yes.
And Stover? Yes.
Sewer cleaner back truck. Joe?
Yes, this is the sewer cleaner vac truck that we talked about at the last committee meeting. There was one bid that was received, that was Core Equipment Incorporated, bidding $513,150. We're doing it, we have a trade-in credit of $49,000 and a turnkey renovation of $68,000 per year for the next 5 years. It was something that our staff said is needed.
Joe, is that a motion?
And so I make that motion.
Don't we have that?
Joe's made a motion, we have a second.
I'll second.
A second, do you have any questions or comments?
Was this in the budget? It was.
Yes.
So our current back truck bill, that must be out of the commissioner bill.
It works, but it's had a lot of trouble. It's, we had to put money into it just to be able to get it to trade it in and be able to keep it working until we could get to this point.
Isn't that true,
And I know when I talked to Shane prior to the last meeting, he was guessing it was somewhere in the 100,000 plus to get anywhere close to being functional, safe, so forth. And with this 5-year agreement, you do have the option at the end to purchase it, but it's basically, where they take care of all issues with it, other than your normal wear and tear as far as tires go, that kind of stuff. So it should be kept in good shape, and it's something they use on a daily basis, and to hire that out, we run at a minimum of $260,000 per hour.
We'd use pretty much every day by all the different departments, from the street department to the water department to the electric department. A lot of times we won't dig until we go out there and use the Vaxter to locate electric line for the guys in the electric department, as well as we don't hit sewer lines, water lines anymore. We use the Vaxter to evacuate that area to make sure we can see everything before we start digging around. It's also a safety tool also.
Will that include
the tree root cutter and everything you need with it?
Yes.
Because I know that last factory did not have that equipment.
I think everything is on this, I don't know for a fact, I don't have the spec right in front of me.
Then we can hold off until you see the whole specs for that kind of money?
No, Shane reviewed the specs, the bid came in with the specs he issued.
They are, and I think those are online here, if you want to go through it.
Any additional questions? Clerk, we take vote.
Richard Lee?
Yes.
Kinsey?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Lindhorst?
Yes.
Mel?
Yes.
Strong?
Yes.
Dumpster for fall cleanup. Ian? Want to make a motion?
Okay, well, apparently I can't.
Nina made a motion. Do we have a second? Okay. The ordinance is authorizing engagement with water sanitation for use of dumpster for village fall cleanup. Low bid submitted by Flowers, 30-yard trash, $300 each. Additional information, Ben.
30-yard metal ones are free. Pricing is all-inclusive, no fuel surcharge or any hidden fees. Items that they do not accept: tires, batteries, pesticides and herbicides, any type of yard waste, oil, batteries, and hazardous material, or any type of electronics. They do accept paint cans if they've been emptied and all the paint inside of them is dry. They do accept appliances if the compressors have been removed.
Does it say anything about TVs?
It does not take TVs.
Electronics.
Oh, no electronics?
So that starts this weekend, October the 1st. It's going to be down in South Park. We had it scheduled for 2 weeks there, and then got notified yesterday that the sectional cross-country meet is going to be there on October the 8th at 10 o'clock in the morning. So we're going to move the fall cleanup to the West Park for the second week. So the first week will be down at South Park where it was last year, and on the second week, on the 8th, it'll be at West Park, and you'll come in off of Downey.
Or we should
And we've
decide
done-
any alert, everything?
Yeah.
You had last year, you put in the places, which was nice, where they could drop off on the website, the other things like the TVs and stuff. Did that one?
Can't drop off TVs.
No, you put different locations of where they could. Remember that last year? Of where to go to, what options?
Yeah.
Alternative options.
There's so few places anymore that take TVs. I wouldn't even know where, Best Buy used to, I don't think they do anymore. I think there's a place in town called BLH, but I'm not sure if they take it. And I wouldn't want to go and put out a list and then people go there. I think they can figure that out on their own.
Yeah, the tubes get taken for a fee if you find somebody who will take them. Or if you buy a new TV in the store. You come up with that number. Any additional questions or comments? Clerk, take vote.
Richard Lee?
Yes.
Kinsey?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Lindhorst?
Yes.
Mel?
Yes.
Strong?
Yes.
And a resolution supporting the concept of a playground and park development in Fox Creek with the village of Chatham. Joe?
Yes, this is a resolution, we discussed this last week, or 2 weeks ago, where J.C.'s asked Massey to come up with a concept design for a playground in Fox Creek, and the playground is, what was it? It was for...
We get a motion, then we can.
I'll now make that motion.
I'll second. Okay. The area that's been set off that the village has at the end of Prairie Vista Drive has been designated for a passive playground. Working with CMT, they recommended Massey & Massey as an architectural firm that's familiar with developing playgrounds and creating a cohesive design for it. So having looked through the amenities available at the existing Chatham parks and trying to figure out what might fit in a passive park setting and something that's not currently offered, Massey issued a proposal to render concept drawings of all-inclusive, fully accessible playground equipment and what that would look at. The Chatham Friends of the Park and the Chatham J.C.'s have offered to pay the cost of having those concept drawings rendered so that it can move to a spot where the public could comment on. The resolution is to accept the offer from the Friends of the Park and from the J.C.'s to proceed with that with the commitment that is that the village will facilitate the public input.
So are you saying that the villagers will end up eventually paying for the actual park itself, they're just gonna actually design?
This is step one on how you get to a design and then how you get to what it may cost and how you proceed from there.
Do you expect that we're gonna end up paying for that?
It could go in any way. My personal view is most of these projects get done through private donation and through private funding.
Well, we're part of the Friends of the Park, so you would know the answer to that. What is the thought on that right now?
I just told you my personal view is that most of these things get done through private donations.
So you're saying you think it is, okay.
Do you have any comments?
Trustee Clayton.
Yes.
Kimsey.
Treasurer's Friends of the Park, I abstain.
Okay.
Fountain.
Yes.
Benhorst.
Yes.
Stover. Mal.
Yes.
Sturman.
Yes.
Excuse me, I just had a question about the park. If they have facilities and stuff, are you guys gonna make sure that they're fully accessible for handicapped and everything? Not just partially?
That was one of the driving parts of the conversation, is to make sure that everything in there is fully accessible, no boundaries type of playground, one thing that we don't seem to offer anyway. So when I talk about no boundaries playground, I talk about anybody, regardless of ability, can make the top level playground. That's a no boundaries playground.
Okay, because some places make, like restrooms and such, could be like halfway.
Right.
And I was just wondering if they were gonna try to get that worked out.
So, yes.
Thank you.
One of the things I do want to mention, at the October 11th meeting, I will not be here in person, but I do plan on calling in to participate, dealing with employment. That's the reason I will not be here. So just kind of let everyone know.
I also wanted to let everybody know that meeting with our engineers tomorrow to finalize the flushing.
Sorry.
I'm sorry too. The flushing program that we're planning on starting next week.
No additional information released, how people will expect.
We will after tomorrow, yeah. There'll be a webpage with all the information on what you need to do when you're working in your area, what areas we're working in.
We're gonna have a little ice cream truck driving around in the neighborhood, announcing over the microphone, we will be flushing in this area.
We put that in, so.
Next thing will be October 11th, special board meeting.
I like it.
Boy, that's going already.
October 25th is regular. Anything additional, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Meeting stands adjourned.
Darlene, I think it needs to be far from the blues bar.
No,